Hi guys, how's everyone? Happy Christmas. This is Trip and Switches with another FPL video. This time we are going to review Game Week 18, my squad, have a look at Game Week 17, and look at some potential transfer options for Saka who's injured. And let's just see what we have coming up with game weeks, things like that. So my overall rank is 435,000. Not a great week, to be honest. Red arrows all over because of captaining Palmer. Last minute decision. Went against Salah, even though I knew there was going to be games in the Spurs game, I just did not know how many. So Salah gets 21, Palmer gets 3. So with captaincy, I have only 6 instead of 42 points. Silly move. Unlucky with Saka getting injured early. He's out for a couple of weeks. So he's going to miss. He's going to miss that Ipswich game. He's going to miss Brentford and Brighton. I would say he's even going to miss Tottenham. And maybe we're looking back towards the end of January for the Villa game. But it's uncertain. He probably, it's one of those things where at this stage, if I'm holding him, do I just hold him for Wolves and hope for the best? But I don't think I will be holding him through. He's a little bit too expensive. So we'll have to look at some potential options for Saka. But let's go through the team. Fulham and Everton again holding clean sheets. Henderson gets a 0. Overall, Henderson has been really good for me this year. The only problem with Henderson is I have no cover because Areola, obviously, I thought he'd be back in the team. I've taken so many drops with him now that I just can't face to waste a transfer on him. Kuna being Kuna gets 9. Isaac, of course, we were talking about him in the last video. I did mention that Isaac was on fire, and he is essentially, now with Saka going, I would say use your funds to get to Isaac at all costs. Of course, I'm assuming that everybody has both Palmer and Saka. Sorry, both Palmer and Salah. If not, get to them. But your third priority would be Alexander Isaac. He's really on fire. He's looking really good. He's everything about Newcastle now. He's looking like one of the sharpest Premier League strikers I've seen in a long time. He's really tidy on the ball. He got a hat trick last week. He's looking good, and I actually fancy him against Aston Villa. Again, it's a home fixture. Newcastle at home, they're really good. I know they were against Ipswich, a weak side, and they were away. Yeah, but Villa have been improving, but I still fancy Isaac against the defence. I just think he is all that. He is actually my favourite striker in the league to watch right now, and I think he's fantastic. Obviously, Kuna being Kuna, he's supposed to get banned and goes out and gets 9 points. Kuna's been absolutely fantastic for me. He's my favourite purchase of the season. I can't fault the man, except obviously I don't agree with what he did. He's going to get banned. It's just a matter of when. So until I know, he stays in the team. So with Kuna, to be honest, the plan was always get rid of him after the Leicester game. That was obviously last week. But now they have United at home, Tottenham, Forest in their next three. And I'm just thinking I might just keep him. Unless he's banned, I'm going to keep him for them. I think I've bigger fish to fry now with Saka getting injured. As always, how it is, I make a plan, somebody gets injured, and I don't have the transfers to cover. So if I had the transfers, I'd probably look at Areola and just for a goalkeeper cover because Palace's next fixture is Bournemouth, who probably will score. But then I want him back for Southampton at home. Chelsea again, I want him out, and then I want him in for the next three. So I don't really mind keeping him, getting 2 points against maybe Bournemouth and 2 points against Chelsea. But as a long term option, I'm losing too many points with having Henderson just stuck in goal all the time. Okay, my midfield, Bowen with 6. I didn't actually watch that game, and he didn't get an assist. I didn't think. Oh, he did. He got an assist, but I didn't watch the game, and I have no idea how he performed or even where he played. I struggle to watch West Ham at the minute. Sorry for all the West Ham fans out there, but it's one team I don't enjoy watching. I do enjoy watching Bowen. He's very talismanic, but he's better coming off the left. I did have him because of Antonio was injured. and I looked at having, a midfielder playing as a striker, maybe with the option of getting an extra goal, gets a clean sheet bonus, goal bonus, things like that. So I'm always looking for strikers like that. Ant Nuri. This guy is just killing it at the minute. Absolutely disaster. He is going to go down in price. He's 4.8 million at the moment. I don't have a lot in my bank, so I'm not sure. My options might be just go to Anderson and double up with Fulham at the back, looking towards the Ipswich, West Ham, and Leicester games. Even Man United at home, Man United don't look good at the minute, which kind of brings me on to the next point I'm going to talk about, which is Saka replacements. I had Fernandez, and he was good for me. It's just United don't seem to be clicking. Um, I'm probably get look at maybe Fernandez after Liverpool. So that's kind of in 4 game weeks time for game week 21 when they have Southampton at home. But I don't think I'm going to go there, even though they have Wolves next. They have Wolves, Newcastle, and Liverpool the next three. I just don't see myself going for Fernandez just before maybe the Liverpool game. If I'm going to do it now, if he goes off and performs like he can, things might change. It might become essential. He is kind of the obvious Saka replacement because he's got the minutes. If we look as far as Spurs, we've got Madison. I just don't like his minutes. He is playing really well, but he's a minutes risk, and I just don't like a player who could be dropped. I have Semenyo there who picked up 8 points all. I think it was my first haul with Semenyo, and of course he was on my bench for it, so I don't even get them. But I'm just cautious of the fact that Saka is gone. He's a 90-minute player, and I don't really see many options for him because if I go to Liverpool with Luis Diaz, he's a minutes risk with Jota. So the only player I'm really thinking that might be a good player to bring in is Gordon from Newcastle. Now, obviously, he's not on pens, but he has a good few returns. Gordon is really good, and with Isaac playing well, Gordon is probably going to pick up a few assists. He was great last season. A little kind of bit dropping off to what he performed last season, maybe overperformed or whatever. But Gordon is great, and their fixtures aren't too bad. They're kind of in the middle at the minute. They've Villa, Man United, Spurs in the next three, but then they've got Wolves, Bournemouth, and Southampton. So at the same time, I'd be thinking about bringing in Fernandez. I could maybe switch that and go to Gordon, just for the fact they've got Wolves and Southampton, whereas United have Southampton kind of Palace. I think I'd rather the Wolves home fixture than Palace at home. They both have three home fixtures after the kind of Liverpool game, which for Newcastle it's after the Tottenham game, so it's the next 3 games, and that's maybe when I'm thinking. But the only problem with that is I've got to hold Saka until then. And Liverpool's next two are Leicester and West Ham. Spurs have Forest and Wolves. So I could lose a bit of points on those games. Like it's hard to know. The next thing is, what about, dare I say Eze? Palace fixtures coming up are nice. Their next one is Bournemouth, then they've Southampton and Chelsea, but then they have a nice tree with Leicester, West Ham, and Brentford. So it might be a thing to get maybe Eze in, maybe Mateta. It's hard to know what I'm going to do with these strikers because obviously Brighton, their fixtures, they've got Villa and then Arsenal coming up in their next three, but they also have Ipswich, Brentford, and Everton at home. So they've got some decent fixtures. Just Joe Pedro, he's kind of like Ant Nuri for me. He's great on paper. He looks like the player to have. He's at the end of his run of fixtures that we're all looking at. We got him in, and he didn't perform. Like if we just look at him, he's picked up 2-2-2. So in his last three, obviously he got five. Sorry, obviously he got five against Fulham, but then he's been down. I don't know where this guy's gone. He got 11 and 12 against Bournemouth and City. First games back, but then he dropped off. His returns are quite poor. Even against Arsenal and United, he got 8. So he's capable of doing it. It's just you need to have him in your team at a set time. Obviously we've broken 1,000 points like we said we would, so we're at 1,057. There's a lot of people probably on that with Salah doing so well. Many people got 42 points from Salah alone. So he had one of those games that he's capable of, and I was silly enough not to captain him for it. So I do regret not captaining Salah. I just went for something different because it's kind of it's a little bit boring just set and forget captaincy on Salah. But let's go and pick the team. So now my armband has obviously moved across for Salah, which was always the plan. Regardless of his points last week, I fancied Leicester at home more so than I fancied Fulham at home. So it was always something that I was putting Salah as captain. Palmer obviously as vice captain. I do I do fancy both Bowen and Isaac to do well. I just think Leicester at home they're going to get ripped apart by Liverpool. Liverpool are really on form. Salah's looking as good as he's. This is like a record breaking season for him. So Handbrand is staying on Salah this week, and I won't be tempted to change it. Not before Boxing Day. Anyway, by the time this video comes out on Christmas Day, and I won't even be on, so I won't be able to change it. I do have the app on my phone, but I'm not. I always make changes on my PC, so I can stream it, and just so you guys got the latest. Yep. So that's the way it goes. Obviously I brought in Colwell. Sorry, that was my transfer this week. I brought out Oakley from Leicester and put in Colwell because Chelsea's fixtures are actually not bad and they're playing well. It's just we need them to be kind of keeping more clean sheets. So Colwell is in. He's not kept a lot of clean sheets, but it's difficult to know. Like with Chelsea, they have Fulham next. That can go either way, but Fulham are great at dragging out a draw, so it could be 0-0, could be 1-0, could be anything. But then they've Ipswich, so I fancy a clean sheet against Ipswich. I fancy a clean sheet against Wolves. Depending on how City are looking, by the time we get towards the end of January, I might fancy a clean sheet for them against City, and then West Ham again. It's difficult to know, but they're not really the team. I brought Bowen in thinking that a new manager be in by now and they start kind of turning it around. But it's hard to know at West Ham. They're one team that I just find they're completely whatever you think it's going to be something different. So that's my plan for this week. I discussed in my video, I'll link it in the video description how I'm going to play the manager trip because I think people are going to need that. So I've discussed that in a previous video. My plans are still remain the same. Saka replacement, obviously it's a bit difficult. It's kind of a coin toss at the minute between Fernandez and Gordon. Just Fernandez might get it just because he's on penalties. It's really hard to know though, but I think I'll be between those two. I could maybe swing towards Eze, just for the fact they have four nice fixtures too. So I think maybe it's those three. Just because Palace, how they look against Bournemouth, I'll decide. If they look good, I might just drop them in for the Southampton home. Obviously, then I'll have them for for Chelsea, but I might switch Eze for Semenyo in that game because Semenyo will have Everton at home. So I might just do that. And then I can go back to Eze for Leicester, West Ham, Brentford, and maybe even United. So we'll see something like that happen. But again, it's another week. I won't be stacking any or carrying any transfers. I haven't done that for quite some time now. I've made a transfer week, particularly with the hip, the hopscotch of Isaac in and out of my team so many times. Um, it's just a little bit difficult to know who to have at the moment. You want to get obviously the most points, but this period there's going to be injuries. There's a lot of games across short rest periods, so you just have to be careful. So I'm trying to make sure I have the most talismanic guaranteed minutes players for this period. That's my plan, and hopefully I start moving up the ranks. Well, I would ask you to like, subscribe if you haven't already done so. You can follow me on Blue Sky and Twitter if you want, and Instagram I am Trippin' Switches. My socials are in the video description. And lastly, but not least, have a nice Christmas. I hope you all do well, and best of luck. Talk to you all soon.